if you're working with great people like that you trust and know that they have your back and that already have their hands in real estate, like I would jump on with them as fast as you could, at least getting into the ball game and getting the wheels running.
Welcome. This is the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping others through real estate investing. Our hosts interview guests from all aspects of real estate investing who generously share valuable experiences and advice. Whether you're starting out or an experienced investor, this is the show for you.
Hello and how's it going? My name is Travis Shelton and welcome to the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast, where I interview guests who want to help others investing in real estate. Looking forward to a great conversation today with a doctor of pharmacy, an MBA, who is an entrepreneur diving into creative opportunities that will create wealth, Wes Browder. Buddy, thanks for joining me today.
Dude, honored, absolutely honored to be here, man. I'm excited. This took a long time on my part to even get this going. I'm so sorry. I wanted to do it a lot sooner.
You're a busy guy, dude. So we know each other, obviously, but give our audience a little bit more about yourself, maybe your 30-second elevator pitch and about your real estate focus.
Yeah, heck yeah. So I am a dad. I'm a husband. I am a pharmacist at the University Hospital here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Love all of those things. But I am looking for more. I know that I want to get into the entrepreneurial space. I'm already pushing into that, and I feel so called to do it. And real estate focused is kind of what I'm looking for right now, and whatever that has. So partnering with good people and doing real estate together, man.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we always start our shows off with some motivation. So what is the motivational quote you'd like to share with the audience?
Cool. Yeah, there's a million good quotes out there, but one that I chose is "Do not fear failure, but rather fear not trying." And I think that hits me pretty hard in the sense that you're not going to get anywhere if you don't try. Mm-hmm. And so you really, really, really need to at least give it the good old-fashioned college try, right? I mean, if you have anything that you are inspired to do, obviously it's going to take proper planning and things of that sort, but that's a huge thing, is actually just pushing through and trying. I remember a lot of high level people that have pushed through, and they talk about these amazing valedictorians who were the 4.5 students, and they're just crazy smart, and they just never tried new things. They just flowed through the system and the generic way of, I'm going to get a degree and do this and do that. And then they're, 40 years into their career, shoulda, woulda, coulda. And so I think trying is such a humongous thing, and knowing that you just need to do it, because 20 years down the road, you're going to be kicking yourself if you didn't.
No, I love it. And it's funny, you mentioned those valedictorians. It's also they're not used to failing because they've always gotten A's, right? But we learn the most through failure. But our kind of education system doesn't really let people or want people to fail, right? You're always driven to get, straight A's like I was, right? So really interesting. And thanks for sharing that motivational quote. Love it.
Heck yeah, man. Absolutely.
So transitioning into our main topic, Wes, how can you help our audience of real estate investors?
It's a good question, man. I never, I don't like to underdo myself, but I definitely don't like to overdo myself. I am a total noob at a lot of this stuff. I think the biggest way I can motivate our audience is really through the people, and honestly, this can go more towards healthcare professionals, because that's who I am and who my wife is as well. But really, it's just thinking bigger. It's thinking that you can do more. It's kind of keeping the mindset of, I always believe that everybody should have at least a couple forms of income personally, just for when those crazy days hit. And really just, I don't know, just being motivated to take the next steps and actually do something. Healthcare, I love it. I love helping people, but I knew there was something more. And that's not to say that I want to completely quit healthcare and just peace out, but at least knowing that I can push for a balance to have multiple things in my life, and it doesn't have to be just cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And so kind of motivating people to look into that avenue.
So what is about real estate or real estate investing that kind of drives you or piqued your interest, I guess, as a healthcare professional?
Oh man, I had some really some good friends that kind of stepped me into this idea of real estate. It was definitely my father-in-law. Um, I was always the guy who was taught about the 401k and the stock market and this, that, and the other. And my father-in-law, he's an entrepreneur, a very successful one, actually, absolutely incredible guy. And he's the one who first was like, no, I love real estate. Like my kind of retirement is more based off of real estate in my business. And that kind of just opened up my world to a brand new thing of what that looks like. And I don't know if you can still hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your video
Okay,
cut out.
good.
Oh,
There we go. Okay, sorry, must have just timed out. But my father-in-law is
yeah.
really the big first one. And I was like,
Okay.
oh my gosh, like he doesn't have this ginormous 401k that he's invested in and that he's just, added on to. Oh, maybe real estate is something kind of cool. And then it was another buddy that built on that further of saying, dude, like you got to get into this because yes, it's not going to be an easy road, but it's going to propel you to step out of certain things that take up your time and get into more of a passive approach on income. And so to me, that was something that I never thought about. I was like, I'm going to be a pharmacist forever. I'm going to grind to healthcare and
Yep.
I'm going to just work like a dog forever. And that started, the harder I worked in healthcare, the more I was like, man, it would be nice to have a little bit of more of a passive approach and have a balance with that. And so it's definitely the big passive. And you say passive, and obviously that's not, it's such a generic term, but
Yeah.
I'll just say not working your full 40-hour week and getting paid for it. At least having some automatic processes that get you paid. And real estate
You're
is that to me.
you're not trading time for money, basically, right?
Amen.
So love it, dude. So maybe, you know, let's talk healthcare professional focus, right? You get out of
Cool.
school, you have a ton of student loan debt, right?
Oh man. Yes.
How do
Yes,
you buy
indeed.
real estate when you have so much debt, when you don't have savings? Like, let's talk there. Like, that's, I think, such a big barrier to cross for healthcare professionals, right? Coming out with six figures of debt,
Yeah.
they're not thinking about getting into more debt with real estate. So why?
I love that question. And I can get a little bit into my wild background of how I've dealt with my student loans. And that'll probably, ruffle some feathers for sure. But um, I think that the biggest first thing for me was getting real about my finances.
Okay.
And that is something that I think every person needs to do. Like
Mhm.
when I was moving through pharmacy school and how in depth that is to get your doctorate and get your MBA at the same time, like I was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
That was a hard time. I was taking out as much student loans as I needed because I had to. Like I could not physically get good at budgeting. I was just all over the place. And when I got out of school and actually started making a paycheck, and thank God for my amazing wife because she's the one who really slapped me into focus here because she's that analytical, organized person that loves to budget. You either need that person in your life or you got to check up and get that
Mm.
in your life if it's just you because you're going to have to be smart with your money.
Yeah.
And so where that looks like is making those moves to either have a savings that's specifically out there for real estate.
Hmm.
Um, and personally me, because I don't want to jump all the way to like using other people's money. Like that's a big real estate term
Sure.
that is
Sure.
just spread all over the place. And I loved that idea when I started real estate. But
Yeah.
like that further and further like was running away from me the more I got into real estate. I was like, dude, I'm a noob. No one trusts me with their money. What the heck? So it's getting real with your own money because that's going to make you a better person. And so that's what I've done through my wife, through understanding my finances better. We grinded out of school. And so
Nice.
we did the more Dave Ramsey route. I'm sure there's a lot
Okay.
of people that know
Oh yeah.
Dave Ramsey. And I would definitely do it maybe a little bit different, but what that taught me was discipline.
Mm.
Like, dude, you're going to take your freaking lunch every single day to work. Like, you're saving up for something.
Yeah.
You are going to not get the Starbucks coffee. you're going to take your coffee from home. It's those things that you start building on.
Yeah.
And then after a while, man, we paid down during the forbearance period of the crazy COVID
Hmm.
loan repayments area in time that it's been for the last 2 or 3 years. We paid down, goodness gracious, probably 100+ K
Wow.
of student loans. We paid that to the loan company. And sorry, this is going to be a long-winded like explanation.
Uh-oh, okay.
But we paid down our student loans as much as we could, like grinding that money into it. Like we were making insane payments. And
Sure.
then I got to it and I was like, wait. Like maybe we could have used that money a little bit better to make some better, passive income things and pay
Mm,
that student loan with having some more income. So we actually pulled our money back out of
interesting.
the company that we were paying our student loans to, and now we have kind of like a lump sum of that, and we're
Okay.
trying to use it for real estate. But what that comes down to, not to go 90 things at once, is it's really just getting your finances in order and being
Yeah.
ready to grind to get that money to set aside and put into real estate. That's the first step.
Love it. So let's talk about your first deal, right? As a real estate investor. So we've talked a little bit on the podcast before about Airbnb arbitrage. And we had a guy named David come on, and he was actually the owner of the asset who lent it to an investor who arbitraged
Wow.
it. So this is really cool because now we're going to talk to the other side of the investor. So tell me a little bit more about the deal that you have that you're actually renting and Airbnb arbitraging a deal from someone you actually know. So let's deep dive into that, the situation, maybe the background, and then we can kind of get into the deal.
I love that, man. Yes. So I, it was probably some very creative marketing on Facebook's algorithm to an extent that kind of got me to even understand what Airbnb arbitrage was, and then we started to follow my wife and I. We started to follow a couple pages on that, and a couple people that actually described it well to us.
Okay.
And that was mainly the sense that not everybody has solid chunks of cash that they can go out and buy multiple properties and
Yep.
actually have that build up their equity and this, that, and the other, and then Airbnb that on the side. And so for my wife and I, yeah, we did not have or didn't want to take the added risk of having another house payment.
Okay.
And so we did want to do Airbnb. Like there was something about Airbnb. We've loved Airbnb. My
Hmm.
wife, again, she's like that organized person that's gonna have the automated messages and it's just gonna be clean. And she's
Oh
she's a
yeah.
killer cleaner. Like that's her OCD thing. She cleans and makes sure it's on point at our house. And I'm the like the human side of things. Like I love the personality. I love connecting with people. I love the hospitality side, man. That is my
Nice.
like superpower. And it's like, whoa, maybe Airbnb would be kind of fun. Like, let's think about this.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I would say that Airbnb arbitrage is the fastest way to get into the Airbnb space.
Very cool.
And there's huge ways of like scaling that. Like if you're like us, we think of, okay, let's Airbnb arbitrage a couple of deals, get some cash flow, some positive cash flow, and then build up that kind of area to actually buy a house and then grow from
Sure.
there. Like you're kind of transitioning it into actually owning a property and Airbnb that. But yeah, that's what we thought about. And so our deal specifically
Yeah.
kind of popped up out of nowhere. We were, dealing with the change in what we needed to do to become entrepreneurs, and that's a big kind of saying yes to and kind of setting your eggs in order. And it just so happened that my mother-in-law was actually getting ready to rent her house.
Okay.
And she had done a whole bunch of modifications to it. Like she had a contractor over there for a year straight fixing it up. It's a super old property. My wife and I actually rented it ourselves. And so we are actually kind of partnering with her
Okay.
to arbitrage this house. And so it was fantastic. Like we definitely did our due diligence in seeing if is it a good area, is it, have a lot of Airbnbs buy it, what are they charging? There's a lot of analysis that goes on beside it, but it
For
was
sure.
perfect with how it worked out.
Nice.
and got us into the game. And so that's where we're at now.
No, that's awesome. So your mother-in-law has this house. You had rented it. She remodels it pretty much all. Is gonna
Yeah.
rent it, and probably long-term rent it. And you just kind of came and said, "Hey, what about this other idea?" Or was there a point that did she not really want to long-term rent it, or was she going to use a property manager? Like, what's her incentive? I guess is she just trying to be helpful and nice to you guys as to why she chose maybe your deal as opposed to just doing it herself?
That's a great point. Yeah, so a little bit of everything there.
Okay,
Like she's always so good to us. Like she is an incredible mother. She's always like looking to partner here or do something for us there. And not that
sure.
she's really like undercutting herself. She isn't by any means. We wanted to make sure she was taken care of,
Okay.
was like our first priority. And that led to, yes, kind of the concept of, okay, you were about to push this over or get this onto a property management team.
Mm-hmm.
What's a realistic rent that they were going to charge? Like, what does that look like? Let's see if this
Yeah.
actually can be a possibility and still bless you at the same time. And so that's what we kind of went after. It was like, oh, okay, you're going to property management. They're going to take this much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're going to rent it for that, but they're going to be taking whatever 10%. So let's kind of work with the figures and
Yeah.
see if we can have a deal here. And so, yeah, that was the big incentive was um, us being able to do it. Her like blessing her kids, and just having a steady income. I mean, there's so many advantages. At least I believe personally, for an Airbnb arbitrage model for a owner of a property than there is long-term rentals.
Yeah.
Like she had some insane tenants before we
Yeah.
rented it, like putting holes in walls, painting every room black,
And they're there for a long
insane
time, so
stuff.
you don't see it for until they move
Hundred
out, right?
percent
Yeah.
exactly. And she's had a couple times where she's had to push to actually get somebody kicked out because they just wouldn't pay rent or whatever that looks like.
Sure.
A
So she
lot of
doesn't want to deal
headaches.
with that. A lot of headaches.
A
So
lot of
help me
headaches.
there. Like, are you paying
Yeah.
more than fair market rent for the property? Or are you paying less than fair market rent because you're not the property manager? Help me with maybe that, like just specific detail.
Absolutely. We are paying like fair market rent
Okay.
for the property. Yes,
Awesome.
exactly. And so that was a big thing for us because we are wanting to, it's our first entrepreneurial step.
Yeah.
We were wanting to kind of underwrite it. And what I love about it is it's not as crazy amount of underwriting as it is for like a normal kind of syndication or, just apartment complex. So there was
Sure.
the right amount for me. But yeah, we underwrote it and said, okay, if we charge this and we get, I don't know, 50 to 75% occupancy a month, I
Hmm.
think we can make a net positive after we kind of pay our debts and stock up the house and fully furnish it and stuff like that. And yeah, we're definitely, it's a fair trade on both sides.
That's awesome. So let's dive
Yeah,
into that since you brought it up.
dude.
Like getting the
Yes.
house ready, right?
Oh, man.
Um, as a first one, very first deal you're getting into, what big picture, did you spend more or less time than you thought to get ready? What were some pain points? Help our audience out there.
Oh yeah, man. It was a incredibly fun journey. I'll say that right now
Nice.
and kind of start it with that is when my wife, who is a nurse, like me being a pharmacist, we understood and like got used to the grind of healthcare.
Yeah.
And doing this was a lot more work than we would have thought it would have been. Don't get me wrong. Like that was kind of the eye-opening thing of business. Like it's a lot
Yeah.
more than you think. Just getting your LLC started is probably more than most people think, right?
Sure.
But it was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was so much less stress than like having people's lives on the line.
For sure.
And it's totally like taking your mindset of what you know, that reality that you have of whatever you're in. You could be healthcare, you could be an engineer, you could be whatever it is. But realizing like, holy cow, my job is way more stressful than this. And so
Yeah.
we really had fun through that. I mean, we had I think I was telling you before, kind of in our times together, we had some 16-hour days, we had some 14-hour days.
Yeah,
Like
man.
my fingers were numb with how many like bolts we were screwing in, dude. I'm surprised they weren't like bleeding.
Yeah.
But we had fun. Like it
Yeah.
was so much fun and it was so good on our minds because it wasn't that normal like intensity that healthcare is. And I think that was probably, that has been the best part about it. Like it was a rude awakening with how much went into it, how much ordering, how much organization,
Yeah.
how much money that can go into this if you don't take it serious and you kind of, aren't as good with your due diligence. But either way, dude, it was fun doing it together, and it was fun getting into a different chapter in our lives. And so that
Nice.
was that was an awesome thing, dude.
So do you plan to do it again? Would you do it again? Would you recommend this to an audience member who maybe is struggling, or another healthcare professional that maybe doesn't have the down payment for a home, but maybe has, a family member or someone else renting their home that they could consider this? Is this something you're going to continue to pursue?
100%. Yes, we look
Nice.
to do that completely. And I think there's definitely some pinpoints that you need to make sure you are okay with when getting into this. And I think that's kind of just the entrepreneurial way. Like you're going to have to see that there's some things that can happen and it can go south quickly, but you're just going to have to be that creative thinker that's going
Yeah.
to have to push through that and be good at that. Um, but yeah, for the healthcare worker that like loves people, I think this is perfect for somebody. Like
Yeah.
as healthcare professionals, we love people. We do it for people.
Yep.
And seeing that like this is like another kind of version of hospitality. Healthcare is kind of hospitality, honestly. This is so much fun, dude. Like dealing with people and their housing and how they live in this Airbnb and everything like that. Like this is nothing compared to keeping somebody alive, Like the stakes are they're still high, but
Sure.
like it kind of just has you balance and weigh that. You're like, dang, okay, whatever. If I don't get this one review right, like I can be okay. They didn't lose their life.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot more fun than you think it is. And it's just it really makes you want to jump off and go into bigger things when you have these successes. Like we're still not net positive or any we're not really close to that because we're paying back the debt of the furniture and everything like that, but
Sure.
it's still
Sure.
fun and our plan is to get that. And so we
So I
want
guess
to
for our
scale.
audience, you're like what, 1 month in? Like when did
We
we
are.
go? When did you go live? September 1st?
Yep.
Okay, so
Exactly.
September
Just had our
1st,
first month.
2023. We're recording this about the first week of October. So 4 weeks in, your first month. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to make all your furniture back, obviously.
Yep.
But what was maybe your first booking? Let's celebrate success. Like,
Heck yeah.
let's talk about that maybe.
Absolutely. So first booking was a 14-day stay. We were blown away. We're like, oh my gosh, it's not a
Nice.
2-day stay. Like this is some good potential here, and that's like half the month.
Yeah.
That was a huge win for our first person. Yeah,
Yeah.
that took up basically the whole month, and I think that was really the only person that we had that month.
Okay.
But it was huge because it wasn't 7 different people; it was only one,
Sure. And it
and
covered your expenses for
it
that
covered.
month?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
So
exactly.
50% occupancy. And I guess, do you have that number, or were you considering when you underwrote, like, or when you're pricing your current property out, like, hey, I want to be able to hit 50% occupancy and that's going to cover all my, the mortgage or, the rent, the utilities, those sorts of things?
We generically did it. I mean, we probably could have gotten a little bit more, picky with the numbers, but no, yeah, we
Sure.
we kind of had it. We knew the house really well because we had lived there. We
Yeah.
knew generally like the utilities and kind of all the expenses and what that came down to. Because we have grass in the backyard, we need to water that and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So we knew it pretty well and knew what it would cost to do that, and then we obviously had the rent involved in that. And so yeah, we figured it would be probably around like the 40%, 50%
Need to hit.
occupancy rate to get us to that, and then ideally just push and have more people at least the 75% occupancy rate. That's going to get us some net positive.
Very nice. All right, so
Yeah.
you didn't have a lot of money. You're out of pharmacy school. You looked for a win-win situation with your mother-in-law, and now you're out there. You did it. Took a little bit more work. I mean, what else? What else can you share? I guess for our audience, or is there anything else you'd like to share to like help someone if they're intrigued about Airbnb in general or about Airbnb arbitrage? That maybe a lesson learned or a mistake you made that you wouldn't make again.
That's yes, very, very much so. We've had a couple of those already. I think it is doing, um, I don't want to say we didn't take it serious, but it did have a little bit of lackadaisical aspects to it with being that it was family based and everything like
Mm,
that. Um, I would just say make sure that you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed before starting the contract with,
mm,
or before like signing that lease with the person. Like ideally, yes, you'd have the property lined up. You would do the due diligence of like, is that area good at producing good Airbnbs? Is the property really nice and upgraded? Like we're not going to have to upgrade a ton of stuff. You do all that stuff and you do your research right off the bat. But really, before you get that lease signed and you have to start paying that monthly payment, make sure that you are about ready to fire on every cylinder of
yeah.
the process before or right at that point when you sign that lease and you start paying that monthly rent.
Yeah, nice.
That was something, yeah,
I
that
guess
we
in general,
we
how
definitely
long
could have
did
been
it
better at.
take for you to fully furnish it? Like you said, you guys did it all yourself. You did all your own ordering. You put all your own furniture. You did all your own designing. Like from like the moment you started ordering furniture till you were ready, picture ready. Like what? How
Yeah.
long was that for you all?
Oh man, dude, I would say, and we did it what I would call pretty stinking like efficiently and effectively.
Okay.
I think it still was a month at least,
Yeah.
at least a month. And we had a lot of people that we were following that said if you really push it, you can hit the 10-day mark. Like you can hit the 2-week mark of getting this fully done, ready to rock and everything. Not at all for us. We
And
were
I
just too
guess
busy.
for
Yeah.
context, how big is the home, or how many
Home
bedrooms,
is, oh
bathrooms, or
man,
you had
it's
to
a
furnish?
it's a 4 bedroom, 2 bath. Um, Backyard, we definitely wanted to furnish as well because it has
Yep.
nice grass and everything like that. So that kind of added some dynamic there too. And all 4 bedrooms, we were like fully furnishing and everything to
Yeah.
to keep as many people as possible. Yeah,
No, it makes sense. I mean,
I,
some people might have a studio or a condo, so the 30 days might seem like a
good
really long
point.
time. But I think with a bigger asset, more rooms, more work, two people doing all the work, right? It makes a little bit more sense. And there's always, I think, from my experience, you buy everything, and then as soon as everything's there, you go, oh, well, now we need this, this, and this, or these accents, and then it kind of does take that extra week or so, just like the fine tuning of the property. Well, Wes, were there any other
Hugely.
points that you wanted to make, or you good?
You know what? Yeah. Lastly, and we talked about this and talk about this fairly often as well, is don't be too hard on yourself. I think
Mhm.
that is giving yourself some grace, man, is such a huge thing. If I was 5 years into this and like a Airbnb arbitrage pro, like yes, I would think of it maybe a little bit differently, but I tend to get on myself a little bit more than I think I should. And celebrating the wins wherever they are, however small they are, is a big thing in your entrepreneurial journey. But definitely, what we had to do in our Airbnb arbitrage journey as well is celebrating those wins. Okay, man, you pulled a 16-hour day and you knocked out this. Go to
Yeah.
Chili's, like get a beer, do something fun. It's
Yeah.
the journey that you really need to make sure um, you don't just brush off. Like that's a part of the fun, man. It's the journey that's taking you to get there and that you can remember back on. And so giving yourself some grace and remembering that journey is a big thing.
What is up, Hot REI Nation? My name is Jordan Nadella with Simplicity Lending Group and powered by Nexa Mortgage. As the nation's largest broker, Nexa Mortgage offers a variety of creative and competitive loan options through our 170 plus partnerships to help you achieve homeownership with the speed and service that you deserve. Whether you are a first-time homebuyer or an experienced investor, I'm dedicated to finding the right program to fit your financial goal. My mission is to make home ownership a very easy and seamless process from start to finish. If you are in the market today to purchase real estate, please contact me to find the best mortgage solution for your needs.
No, I love that. All right, are you ready for the hot seat?
I'm ready for the hot seat, man. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
We ask all our guests the same final four hot questions. So, Wes, number one, what is one book you'd recommend to someone wanting to know more about real estate investing?
I I think I'm going to do a podcast for that, and it's going to be
Okay.
the best ever real estate podcast.
Yeah,
I think, is
Joe
it Joe
Fairless.
Fairless, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, He has been awesome, dude. I love his personality. Just seems like such a quality dude, man. And just has insane amounts of podcasts. Like you can
Every
search them.
day. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, exactly. You can search them pretty well on. I use Spotify, so if it's an Airbnb arbitrage thing, like most of the time I can search it, or an Airbnb specific thing. Like I think I've looked up a few from him that I've actually searched and done. So. Um, He's great. Love it.
Good one. What's your favorite productivity tip, trick, or tool? Maybe a time saver, an app that lets you get more done than the average person.
I won't take too long of this because I can get obviously long-winded pretty easily, but um, I think like just falling back to the basics, man. Like I've tried to organize myself with crazy apps like ClickUp and things of that sort. Like having a good calendar is good. Definitely making sure pharmacy school taught me that real well is having your calendar, like a Gmail or Google Calendar, whatever it is, locked down. But then getting back to the basics of what you know is like the tried and true. For me, that is literally making check marks on a sheet of paper.
Heck yeah.
And so, as easy as that is, I think kind of realizing what is good for you, what's going to keep you productive, and not, for me, not jumping too far outside of what that looks like. Like trying to get a whole new app has been crazy for me. So going back to the basics of just bubbling, checking things off, man, one at a time.
That's a great recommendation. What's your biggest real estate mistake or failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
I think. Sure, a lot of people say this generically, but yeah, not obviously not getting into it sooner or not
Mm,
learning about it sooner.
yeah.
Um, my father-in-law had told me about real estate a long time ago, and I just kind of brushed it off and thought of it as a new idea, but didn't really take advantage of how many resources there are out there to learn more about it. And then I think kind of back to where I was talking about the Airbnb arbitrage model, like just making sure that you just know what you're, I don't know, not necessarily knowing what you're jumping into, but really like learn as much as you can about something so that you can make that jump with your money. We talked about how you can manage your money well and obviously do that, but just don't let your money sit on the sidelines for too long.
Yeah.
Really work hard to know where you want to move that money as fast as you possibly can. And if you're working with great people like that you trust and know that they have your back and that already have their hands in real estate, like I would jump on with them as fast as you could, at least getting into the ball game and getting the wheels running.
No, that's wonderful. Wonderful advice. And then finally, if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Oh man, dude, I always strive to just love people like crazy,
Mhm.
build incredible friendships, like always be that person to go to and just motivate and just press into people, man. So I think just my loving heart and passion for people and love for people would be ideally what I'm remembered for, man. It's
No,
perfect for hospitality too.
oh yeah. The best place for the Hot RAI community to connect with Wes is going to be on his Gmail. I'll provide his contact information as well as his Airbnb listing in our show notes so that you guys can check that out. Dude, Wes, really appreciate you joining me today. This was a lot of fun and really appreciate you sharing your journey on the podcast with the audience.
Dude, it was a pleasure. And oh my gosh, if anybody ever has any questions, hit me up. I'm an open book. I love new friendships and love working with people. So I'm excited to hear from some people.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Wes. And to the audience, thank you for tuning in today and commit to taking action today to move your investing forward. Take care and God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast. Check out our website, hotrei.com, for additional content and resources. And please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review so we can continue to bring even more value to others through real estate investing.